Hey guys,
Hello.
welcome back to episode three,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is a podcast where me, Nicole, and Danielle, we review very popular book talk books. And as of right now, it's one book per month, and we both read the same book.
Yes.
And then we come on here and we talk about it. And for this month, we both read Twisted Love
Yes.
by Anna Huang.
Yes.
And we have thoughts.
A lot of thoughts.
So I will say, Danielle read it most recently.
Yeah.
So your memory is pretty fresh on it. I
Yeah.
read it at the beginning of the month. And since then, I also read Twisted Games as well. And so my mind's a little convoluted. In, like, my honest opinion,
Yeah.
Twisted Games was worse than Twisted Love. So
That's unpopular.
I wouldn't encourage you to continue reading.
I'm not.
But yeah, we have thoughts.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Our camera is propped on top of a stack of books because we're filming in Danielle's apartment today. And it looks like you made a fool of death with your beauty this month. It's one of the worst books I've ever read. It's so bad.
That is also an unpopular opinion.
It's so unpopular, just like 7 Days of June, but they're both equally as goofy to me.
You know, I see. Yeah.
Yes.
I
No.
see what they were doing. Like, wow, this is like a book about grief and kind of centering that in a love story. But all the pieces that go into trying to make the story, I know both of us really dislike the dialogue.
Yes. Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But for those who have not read it, I really think you should. I think you should try it out.
It's giving, you know how there's like a genre of books for like white people?
Yeah.
It's like Emily Henry,
Yeah.
Allie Hazelwood.
Yeah.
Like very like generic, confusing, maybe even problematic love stories.
Yeah.
This is one of those books.
Is it problematic because she ended up with the dad?
Yes.
Is that problematic or is it just like... That's a
You
little-
go on a trip with your man.
It's not her man though!
It wasn't okay. You go on a trip with a man that wants you.
Yes.
She knew that.
Yes.
You go on that trip.
Yeah.
And then fuck his dad.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Who was more in the wrong? The dad or the main character?
The dad.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh
I
my
would.
God.
I think I would fight my parent.
Yeah.
I'd physically lose my shit.
That book was so baffling. But anyway, we're back into
Yes.
Twisted Love. So because I read it almost like a month ago at this point, why don't you start us off with how... Well, I guess who were our characters? Who were the characters in this book?
Yes.
Okay.
So the main female woman character is Ava Chen.
Mm-hmm.
She is the younger sister of Josh Chen. So there's probably like a 3 or 4 year age gap between them. Josh is very protective, but he's kind of a minor character. Josh has a friend named Alex. Alex is like a college friend who's been around for like 8 years or so, and he comes to like family holiday dinners, blah, blah, blah. And he's also a rich CFO, COO, some sort of CEO position. So essentially, this is going to be about Ava and Alex finding love together.
Yeah. And so I guess it fulfills the trope of like girl and brother's best friend.
Yes.
That's the trope that we're
Yes.
reading. And also maybe enemies to lovers, but not really enemies.
Yeah.
I guess he's just a hater.
Yeah. That's actually what I wrote in my notes about.
Yeah,
He's a hater.
He's just a hater. Okay. So the story starts off with, we might skip around a little bit because there's a lot that's happening in this very small book, I would say. But it starts off with Ava is like, she's a photographer.
Yes.
And she's like leaving a photo shoot somewhere. And there's no way for her to get home. Like the
Right.
bus isn't coming, it's raining, it's dark, and it's her brother's birthday party or
Yes.
something. Or going away party.
Yeah.
Because he's going to med school. So she calls her brother and he picks up the phone and he's in the middle of having sex with someone.
Yes.
And she can hear it.
Yes.
Which is weird.
It's weird, but also, what are we doing with that as a reader? Like, that does not move the plot forward.
It doesn't.
Because it's not about his sex life.
Yeah.
It's about Ava's.
And I guess it's meant to like depict Josh as someone that's like a little reckless, a bit of a daredevil. He's like a ladies' man, but like
A weirdo?
Right. Like, there are other ways of doing that. Like, she was going to the party. So
Right.
we could have seen him with hella bitches at the party.
Right.
There was no need for her to pick up the phone and she has to listen to her brother have sex.
Yeah.
That's just strange.
That is strange. Because in no real world, or even, it's not even a good love story plot. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
That was weird. So she's speaking to her brother. She's asking if he can come pick her up. He's like, yeah, I'll come pick you up. And then instead of him picking her up, he sends his best friend, Alex.
Yes.
And Alex pulls up in like this bougie ass car. What was it? Like a
Aston Martin.
Yeah, he pulls up and he's like, get in the car or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And there is like tension between the two, even though they've known each other most of Ava's like life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was weird.
That is weird.
But okay. And then they do that classic thing where it's raining, so she has like a white t-shirt, and so he can see like her boobs, and like he's like focusing on her boobs a little bit.
Yeah. She's like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, I'm telling you now. What?
Like, okay. Sure.
Right.
And doesn't she make him stop for like an errand? Like,
Yeah, to pick up the birthday cake.
yeah, the birthday
Yeah.
cake. So she has to stop. She asked him to stop at the grocery store to pick up the cake, and then he's like, you can't go out there.
Yeah.
The wet t-shirt. I'll go out there for you. And he goes to pick up the cake, right?
I don't remember that, but you're probably right. Oh yeah, then he's like, yeah, don't ask me for no other shit. Basically.
Yeah. So, sure, whatever. And I think that's the first time we get to see that like Alex is a bit overprotective, or maybe even like controlling.
Oh yeah,
Right?
That's a good one.
That's the first time we see it. Yeah, it's foreshadowing as to like what type of guy he is.
Yeah.
Cool. So they get to the party, and then what happens to the party?
Nothing much. Ava hangs out with her friends, and Josh goes to Alex and says, hey, I'm leaving. Ava has this really crazy ex-boyfriend. I feel like she needs protection. And I want to ask you, my billionaire friend, to protect her while I'm away. And Alex is like, oh, but innocent Ava? Of course, yes, I'll do it. And from there, he leaves his freaking nice home in DC and moves into Josh's old place.
Which is next door to Ava's house.
Yes. Which, as a sibling, I would never. Even as someone with like protective younger brothers.
Yeah.
What are their friends going to do for me?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like there are easier ways to handle this.
Yes.
Like if you're asking your billionaire best friend for
Right.
solutions about your little sister's stalker ex,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can find solutions because he
Right.
seems to make mountains move
Right.
throughout the rest of the book.
Right.
So like I don't know what him living next door would have solved.
Plot hole. Because you're right. He couldn't install a security system. He
Right.
couldn't get her a security detail. Like he had. What the fuck is he gonna do
Living next door, like.
But be a creep, like.
The one thing I will say that I liked about Ava's character though is that she has like a hobby and she has friends.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the books that we've read at least together so far, the girl seems to seemingly have no friends. Like she doesn't have a support system or a group of women, so she like completely is left
Right.
to whatever man she's currently dating, and that's really about it.
Right.
And then she also has nothing to do really
Right.
besides like her occupation. And I guess
Yeah.
Ava's a student, so that's her job, but
Yeah.
then she has like this photography thing.
Right.
So she's like a fully fleshed out character. Like, I actually liked
That's a good
Ava
one.
in
Yeah.
the story.
I don't really care for how she went about the sex, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Let me wiggle my mouth.
Yeah, we're both kind of on the clock. So if you see us dip down to touch our work laptops, that's why. Okay, so I guess the first thing that we get, the first like interaction once Josh goes to like South America for med school or wherever he's going, Ava makes like cookies or something.
Yeah.
And she goes over to Alex's house as like a welcome to the neighborhood gift.
Yeah.
Right? I was actually so confused why she did that.
Yeah.
Because if this is a guy that you've known since you were 8 years old, why? And and you seemingly have no interest in him.
Right.
Like, you didn't have a crush on him your entire life. Why are you doing that?
Right.
That to me was a really weird behavioral thing from Ava to do.
Right.
Outside of her just being nice, I suppose.
Did you ever have neighbors bring you shit?
Once.
Same.
Yeah.
My mom said throw that shit away.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we're just like, we would never.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's weird. But I think it's also weird because he's not really moving there.
Yeah.
He moved there for this thing you did not want.
Mm-hmm.
You would think if you don't want him to be there, you would keep some distance.
That is true. She does fight her brother a little bit on this, where she's like, why are you doing this? It's so overprotective. It's overbearing, whatever. Yeah. And then she, like, makes some cookies and, like, shows up and is trying to be friendly with Alex, who I would assume is a busy guy and wouldn't be home anyway.
Right.
So why am I doing that?
Yeah.
That was bizarre.
And he's not nice.
He's also just not a nice guy.
Yeah.
So I guess we can skip forward a little bit and talk about how her friends have a suspicion that Alex is into her, or that she is able to cause Alex to have emotional reactions based on her behavior.
Right.
Right? And so they come up with like a plan.
Yeah. What they call it? Operation Emotion?
Yeah.
Fucking stupid.
Do you remember what the emotions were?
I just remember 2 were disgust and happiness.
Yeah, I think one was also like sad because she made him come over and watch like the Titanic.
Yeah.
Or something, right? And he was supposed to cry. And through that the operation, I guess we see these little like interactions between Ava and Alex.
Yeah.
And they're like, for us the reader, we're like building a love story between the two of them. And none of the operations are successful because Alex doesn't really show emotion in the way that one would if you liked someone.
Yeah.
But he is doing things that are slightly different, right? Like the cookie one.
Yeah.
You want to talk about how she made disgusting cookies?
She made nasty ass cookies on purpose to try to get a reaction out of him. And he bites into the cookie. He's like, it's fine. It's so dumb. that's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I don't get the attraction. Why are you like, oh, he's not emotive. He doesn't show any emotions. Like, what is there to be attracted to?
Right. And like,
it's definitely not the personality.
The thing that was for like the disgust test. And so like he didn't express disgust, so it failed.
Yeah.
But what he does like show is that he's not gonna tell her that the cookies she made him were gross.
So he's a liar. That's a real man. Niggas lie every day.
So like for us, the reader, we're like, oh, that's so romantic. He lied to not make her feel embarrassed, I suppose.
Yeah,
that's what we're supposed to read.
Yeah.
Like that's what that was for.
Yeah.
I guess that was cute. If you're into that.
Yeah, if you're into that. If you like people lying to you, if you like your men to lie, it's a great turn on.
And then there was that scene with like Titanic. She like comes over to his house. He's getting ready for a date, actually.
Oh yeah, with Madeline.
Yes, he was getting ready for a date, which we will talk about later. And he's about to leave, and then she comes over, and he's like, obviously going somewhere, and she's like, oh, where are you going? And They go back and forth. And then he ends up canceling his plans with the girl to then stay with Ava and watch
the movies. Yeah.
Watch a movie, and they end up watching Titanic together.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was cute.
You know, he actually did something that happened to me in real life.
What?
He was like, why are you crying? Ava starts crying in the movie, and he's like, what this made you cry? Why are you crying?
What's so crazy about that is like, was it Titanic or was it the Notebook? It's one of the two.
Yeah, something.
It's one of those two where like white people love those movies. But those movies are only, in my opinion, maybe people are different, but I think those movies only brought me emotional, like teary-eyed stuff the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
I feel like the second time I watched Titanic, I'm not crying.
Yeah.
It's not a movie I cried. That's not a sad... In fact, when I watch it now, I'm like, wow, how did they create this in 97?
Yeah.
That's what I'm always like, this is really good for 1997. That's what I'm thinking about every time I watch it.
I also think about, like the set design like that.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, girl Rose. Not the poor man.
Not. And she's also stunning in that movie.
Yeah.
Her stunning.
You know what's crazy? I know us as millennials,
Yeah.
all the problematic shit of like 90s gossip and celebrity culture. Holly thought she was fat.
Yes, I've seen so many like throwback like magazine covers and like TikTok interviews of them calling her fat.
Right.
Because she had boobs.
Right. Meanwhile, today, she would eat.
Absolutely.
Come
She'd
on.
be like the #1 Instagram model.
Yes.
That porcelain skin with that red hair.
Yes. Not a pore in sight.
Beautiful girl. Beautiful girl. Wow. Amazing casting. Anyway, so there's that. Oh, and then this is the scene where I think she falls asleep on the couch, right?
Oh, yeah.
Why are you laughing?
I'm thinking about what happens next.
Go on, talk about it. What's so fucking funny?
So this actually plays into like Ava's background. So when she falls asleep, and he's like, "Oh, it's raining outside. I don't want to carry her in the rain to her house next door. I'm gonna take her up to my bed." So he puts her in the bed.
Why did you just wake her up?
Yeah, like, hey,
Yeah, you gotta go home.
get your ass off my sofa.
Like, why would you just wake her up?
And it's also like stay on brand. Like if you don't like her, be a dickhead. So while she's asleep, she has nightmares. Which backstory? She has a hard time sleeping. She has night terrors. She wakes up screaming in the middle of the fucking night because when she was younger, probably like 5.
Yeah,
She has memories of an incident where her mom tried to drown her.
correct. Well, yes, but she has memories of like being underwater, and the
Yes.
last person she saw was her mom.
There we go.
And then everyone told her,
Your mom drowned you.
yeah,
Or tried to kill you.
Yeah, that's what she remembers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess along with that, her mom eventually died by suicide, maybe?
Yeah, they like took her away.
Yeah.
And then she like killed herself. Yeah.
Sylvia Plath.
Yeah. Also she wakes up around the same time sometimes.
Yeah,
Isn't it
like 4 a.m.
Yeah, like 444. Which,
Yeah.
like in Chinese culture, 4 is like a number or an angel number. Did I make that up? Like that was a part of it.
Something about it came up, but I don't remember what. I remember that was significant, but I don't remember
Why?
why 4. Yeah.
Okay, so he puts her to bed, and then what happens? He also he puts her in his bed, and then he also sleeps in that bed.
Yeah.
Which I thought was baffling.
Right, because if you're rich, I mean, he's in Josh's house, but I'm sure there's another bedroom.
There's absolutely another bedroom.
Or you could have been. I think he actually mentions like, yeah, I could have slept on the couch, but I didn't.
Surprise.
And then Josh calls him.
Really?
Yeah. And then they wake up and she, I guess in her fucking groggy morning fog, like reaches for his dick. And he's like, get your hand off my dick. And she's all flustered and embarrassed, like, oh.
How?
Yeah. And I guess he's hard too, and he was like, it's not for you.
Yeah, it's morning wood, whatever. I was like, okay. Sure, that makes sense.
Right. Which, side note, you won't crush my feelings about the cookies, but you'll crush my feelings about not being hard for me. Like, that's crazy.
That's so crazy.
Way worse.
That is so crazy. But also, like, I'm still stuck on the fact that he put her in his bed, then also slept in the same bed.
Yeah.
That's so weird
Yeah.
to me. Like, I wouldn't even do that to, like, a friend.
Yeah.
Like, I would just go sleep downstairs.
I would leave you on the sofa, Nicole. I would bring you a blanket though.
Here you go.
You're already asleep. I'm like, I can't carry you.
Yeah, that's true. So they determined that Operation Emotion is a bust.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I guess we were wrong about Alex, or maybe we were right, who knows, but he has no emotion.
Was the jealousy part of the photo shoot incident? Or was that just like an after?
I think that was an after thing.
Okay.
Right? Because the jealousy part also failed, and I can't remember what they did for that.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, because I also don't know why he was looking for her.
I remember she hadn't answered his phone in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, where is she?
And he went to Bridget.
Yeah.
Or not Bridget, the other friend that he lives with, or that she lives with. And then she's like, oh, she's having a photo shoot somewhere.
Or I feel like she also played into like, oh, maybe she's with another guy.
Something like that. Yeah, she was a little messy. I liked her.
Yeah.
She was a little messy. let's talk about the photo shoot thing.
Yeah.
Because that was also really random.
Yeah.
So, like, Ava is doing a photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not the photographer for whatever reason. This is the only time in the book where she's the model.
Yeah.
So she's like the model for this photo shoot, and she's like in lingerie, and she's just doing like a very classy shoot, I guess, for some reason that wasn't really clear. And then Alex storms in and he's like, delete these off your fucking phone, off your camera, rah, 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 who are you, da, 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 da.
Cover up.
And she's like, we've been doing this all day. Like, if you make me stop doing this, then I'm going to walk outside butt ass naked.
Yeah.
And then he came back at her some way, somehow. And then she decides to put her clothes on, like angrily. And that was like, ooh. And then her friend like overhears it and she's just like, oh, he likes you.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
My only form of agency is to walk out into the street in my bra and panties. For you to stop crossing a boundary? Get the fuck out of here.
So the thing with this, and I'm noticing it as a trend in a lot of books that we've been reading, is that they have like these male characters who are so overprotective and controlling. And in a way that can be sexy.
Right.
Because that shows that like a man cares for you when they're like a little jealous. But like the books take it to a point where like the woman has like no agency.
Right.
Like she can't do anything. Like she can't talk to another guy. She can't participate in anything that he finds inappropriate.
Right.
God forbid she wears like a skirt outside. And we are told to read that as romantic.
Right.
When in reality it's giving like 1960s.
Yeah.
Like it's the feminism that women fought against.
Yeah. When in all actuality,
yeah,
the sexiest thing a man can do is listen.
Yes. Yes. Like, the sexiest thing that would have happened is that he lets her do the photo shoot, and then he picks her up, and they go home, and he's like, oh, I'm a little uncomfy, and they talk about it, but ultimately he gets it, that's her hobby, that's her life, whatever.
And they have sex, and he's like, this is mine. Like,
right.
you could have done something with it.
You guys could have fucked in the thing that she was wearing, and it's like fun.
Yeah.
That was so weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about his ex, Madeline.
Yeah.
So Madeline is this girl who's also rich and beautiful. She's Miss Popular at school. I think with blonde hair, possibly.
Yeah.
And she notices that Alex is giving a lot of attention to Ava. So at one point in time, they have a conversation where Madeline's like, you can't handle him in the bedroom. Like, he's just so sexy. But also, he doesn't kiss.
Yeah.
In the bedroom.
He only likes it from the back.
Yeah. And it's so raw and intense and like, oh my God. And Ava's like a little flustered and she's like, oh my God, well, we've done that already. So, or whatever she said. Which was a lie.
Yeah.
But if that were me and I heard that, I'd be like, oh, that's not hot.
Thank you. A woman with scent. You know what it is? This is my theory. Anytime a man talks about what he's not going to do, and it's not just like a regular boundary, it's just like, I'm absolutely not going to do this. Like I'm not giving head, just for example.
Yeah.
Like, you sound crazy. You're not kissing, and you're only fucking from the back?
Like, are you okay? It sounds like you have intimacy problems.
It sounds like not fun sex.
Like, that's not sexy. So, like, you hear that from a girl who's currently fucking, that, oh, he's actually super dominant and he doesn't give a fuck what you want to do.
Yeah.
He's gonna have sex with you in one way.
Right.
And if you want a moment of, like, intimacy or connection, it's out the door.
Yeah.
But it's so hot and sexy and raw.
Who's coming? Who?
Like, just him.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is a problem.
It's terrible.
Like, why are we reading that and we're like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah. I think when I get the fantasy of like a dominant male partner, you know, because they're idiots in real life, and you know, the reality of sex, like, you have to tell someone what you want, right?
Yeah.
So it's nice for, in the fantasy world, for someone just to, this is what we're doing.
Right. Take charge.
Yeah.
Take lead. Yeah.
But if it's not pleasurable, what's the point? I think it's Dom done wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Dom is not just, here's what I'm doing, and there's a lack of intimacy, and I'm just fucking you hard. Like,
Yeah.
ooh.
No, I completely agree with that. Like, I have a friend who you know who also told me that he is someone that doesn't kiss during sex because it's too intimate.
But it's fucking raw.
Right? It's fucking raw. So anyway, she hears that and she's like, I feel challenged, or I don't know what the fuck insecure. I forgot what her reaction was to that. But later on in the story, there's like a moment where Ava is at
A sidebar thing that I just saw in my notes.
Yeah.
But I think while they were watching the movie, he for some reason asks her, like, what's your type? And she says Ian Somerhalder. And his response was, at least it's not the sparkly vampire. I said, what a hater. What a fucking hater.
First of all. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if she meant like Ian from Vampire Diaries or Ian from real life, because Ian in real life is actually so sweet.
Yeah.
He's a gentle creature. He seems nice.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But Damon is
Oh, it's on brand then.
horrible. He
Yeah.
killed Elena's brother.
Yeah.
Like, even when I was watching, I'm like, why is Elena picking this guy? He's horrible. I'm not a huge Damon and Elena fan.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yes, Madeline.
Yes, so they go to, so I gotta sit up. They go to Madeline's house for like a pool party or something.
Right.
And Ava's there and Madeline confronts her or whatever. Something happens and Ava's in the pool.
Yeah.
And she starts to drown because she can't swim.
Right.
Because she never learned how to swim after the incident that happened with her mom.
Yes.
And so people captured on social media, and I think that's how Alex saw it.
Yeah. Well, he said, I think so. I just saw, no, he saw it on his phone.
He didn't go to the pool party, right? Or
I think he did.
So the thing that confused me about that was like the timeline of
Yeah.
that. Because the time that it takes for someone to post, record something,
Right.
look at it, post it, think of a caption, and then upload it onto social media
Right.
kind of takes like 30 to 45 to an hour.
But
Right.
also, does he not have a job?
And then through that scene, Alex tells Ava that he'll teach her how to swim,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually thought that was kind of nice of him to do that.
I think it's nice, but again, why don't you just pay for my swim instructor? Like, why is he acting like a poor?
No, because I could see that being like a really cool, like intimate activity.
Yes.
To do with someone.
Right.
Like I can't swim.
Same.
So my man was like, I want to teach you how to swim. I'd be like, okay.
But that's your man.
That's true.
Yeah, that's my man, you know.
That's true.
Teach me how to swim, babe.
Yeah. That's true. Not some random individual.
Who's mean to me.
Yeah, all the time.
But I do see it. It's like an act of service.
Yeah, that was like the one thing he did in the book where I was like, okay. So let's fast forward through a little bit. And let's talk about the revelation that Ava has about who pushed her into the pool or into the lake. I will say though, did you think that the mom did it?
Yeah.
You thought she did?
And I actually have a note where I'm like, oh, her dad's being mean. That's weird.
Okay.
And then everything came out like right after.
Okay. Because I had read, it's very similar. You haven't read Verity by Colleen Hoover. There's a very similar plot point where like a child is in the pool or in the lake and that kid actually dies.
Right.
And it's like, who did it?
Yeah.
Right. And everyone's like, it's the mom because she was just there.
Right.
And it ended up being someone else.
Right.
Spoiler. And so I think because I just read that book like this year, I was like, oh, it's probably not the mom.
Right.
That did this. And like in the book, we do learn that there is some like, maybe not tension, but like a disconnect between the dad and Ava.
Yeah.
And, you know, the dad's like an Asian father, so I think they were talking about that a bit, like it's not unusual for them to like not be the most like warm, outgoing people in the world. But he is really close to the son.
Right.
But not to Ava. And so I guess like Ava and Alex go over for Thanksgiving, and which is strange.
Yeah. But I guess he had been going for Thanksgiving for like however many years.
They get there, and I guess like something about being in the backyard, it's not the same house, it's a different house, but something about being by the lake triggers a memory, and then she sees like a ring or something that she knows is her dad's ring.
Yeah.
And that's like the hand she last saw before she was pushed into the water.
Right.
And so she's like screaming insanely outside.
Yeah.
Wakes everyone up.
Yeah.
We all go running. And she's like, holy fuck, my dad tried to kill me.
Yeah.
And she's like remembering that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was like, to me, this was the best part of the book. I was like, this is... that was the best part of the book. I was like, oh shit, your dad killed you? I didn't know who it was, but I didn't think it'd be the dad.
I didn't think it would be the dad. I didn't expect that.
Yes. Yeah.
And I guess the dad did it because he and the mom were separating and Ava's not biologically his child.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So he's like, oh, you reminded me of that whore. I'm just drowned. Well, I guess he wanted to set up the mom to lose custody. So he tried to drown her and then frame the mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then Alex, I guess Ava discloses to Alex her memory resurfacing. And he's like, I'm going to take care of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does. He
As
calls,
a man should.
He calls like the FBI and all of these super busy people who I'm sure had other things to tackle, like terrorism.
Yeah.
But they all pull up and they set up an interrogation where like Ava confronts her dad about what happened, and her dad quickly confesses.
Yeah.
And the whole room is taped, and then he tries to backtrack it, and Alex is like, this room is taped.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you not think the room was taped?
Right.
Why else would you be in this fucking office
Right.
having this conversation? And then he's like, well, no one's gonna believe you. And then like the entire like FBI is outside.
Actually.
Like truly listening. And then also Josh is there too.
Dad. I think, does he punch him or something? Yeah.
Yeah, they get into it. And then through that conversation we learned, which did make me laugh, that dad tried to kill her before. Like
Another time.
Yeah, when she was older.
Yeah. 3rd grade.
And he only stopped because Josh came home.
But also, I mean, I know there's trauma, but what's up with old girl's memory? Like, 3rd grade is like...
That's kind of old.
Yeah.
That's kind of old to not remember your dad trying to suffocate you with a pillow.
Right.
Like, I understand like repressing memories, but that's a pretty big one to repress. And I guess before we go into like the craziness that happens later on, we skipped over like their actual sex, which I actually don't remember. So if you have memory of it, please share. 'Cause I don't remember what their sex was like.
All right. So I think one piece we should bring up is that it changes from Ava to Alex's perspective back and forth throughout.
Okay.
And so Alex, kind of from jump, tells the reader, only like it from the back and no kissing. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he tells Ava this, and she's like, what if I'm into that too? And then they start fucking. And yada, yada, yada. I think at one point he gets face to face, and she was like, what about your rule?
So the rules don't apply for you.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what?
You know what's also important to bring
Scared me.
up? Sorry.
I was like, what?
How they became boyfriend and girlfriend.
How did they become boyfriend and girlfriend?
I think she basically approached it like, what are we? And he was like, are you saying you want a boyfriend? Then I'm your boyfriend. And she was like, yeah. And he was like, then that's what we are.
Okay, yes, I remember this, and I remember thinking, for someone who was so caught up on like not being intimate ever with anyone, he gave in so quickly to being intimate, even though like, and there was no deeper thought behind it. Like there was no like, oh man, like I feel uncomfortable with this, or I don't know how to do this, or I feel insecure because I don't know how to be intimate. He just was like the perfect boyfriend suddenly.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
After giving no signs.
Absolutely none. Suddenly he's able to kiss her. He can say, I love you. And he can say, he can show up with our friends and like do all the things that a perfect boyfriend would do. Without any experience of doing those things beforehand.
And we have no way of knowing, at least based on how it's at least framed. He's never been in a relationship before.
And suddenly he's like this perfect guy, and that's not the case. Like when you date these guys, when you try and date these guys who like have intimacy problems, that shows up in the relationship.
Have you ever dated someone who's never been in a relationship?
No.
It's terrible.
I was like, no.
It's terrible.
Really?
Oh, what do you know I do remember about the sex? Them just fucking for hours.
Yeah. They like got a hotel room and they were just having crazy sex the entire time.
There's one sex scene I remember at the end.
Okay.
And he came on her.
Yeah.
And was like, no, don't wipe it off. Walk around so you know you're mine. I said, logistically, how's that work? Is it not like...
It's not like a lot.
Yeah. Does it not get places?
Yeah. Like, how is that? Okay. Yeah.
That's all I remember.
I remember this one not being as annoying as other ones that I read before.
Yeah.
Like, I think that I could tell that she was having a good time and it wasn't too, like, aggressive to the point where I'm like, no one would enjoy that. Or not no one, but, like, this character would not enjoy this.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting so sick of, like, like you were saying earlier, like, the dominant, like, sexual male character. Like, not every single character has to be, like, a dominant male person in the bedroom to be sexy. Yeah. Like, you can kind of have, like, regular sex. That's okay.
That's okay.
Regular sex is okay. Like, we don't have to do all that.
One person's coming to mind, like, he's into leather and all this other shit. And it's like, it's still mutually pleasurable.
Right.
For both people.
Right.
Versus, like, this, even though she says, what if I'm into that too? It still seems so centered on him and what he likes. We never get any indication of her being like, this is what we're doing tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, she never is like, oh, I actually know from previous relationships, this is what I like in the bedroom. Right. It's always like, oh, I'm gonna bend you over the sink and, like, fuck you in the ass. And it's like, okay. I guess we're doing that.
That's what we're doing.
Let's talk about the mysterious ex-boyfriend that was, like, a big issue. And he just suddenly, like, vanishes from the plot. Yeah. Almost immediately. Yeah. And I thought that was so strange because, like, the way the story is written, you're thinking the ex-boyfriend is the big bad villain.
Yes. I thought he was going to be a real main character.
Like, I thought this guy was, like, going to be, like, a serial killer. Like, I was like, oh, he's gonna... No. Yeah. He shows up twice. Yeah. One time he finds Ava outside of a bar and is like, ugh, and then she kind of, like... I forget how that goes down, but, like, she's fine. She, like, whatever. And the second time she goes to, like, a gala or an event, and then he's there as well. And he's, like, drunk and also high on something. Yeah. And he, like, pulls her into a coat closet, and then Alex sees it, and then, like, fucks him up. Yeah. And then Alex makes some phone calls, and then the guy is suddenly ruined and can't get a job and can't go to school and is broke. Yeah. And then problem solved.
Yeah. All of these things were fixable.
Also, like, wouldn't that make him more angry? Because now he has nothing to lose.
Right. Ooh.
Like, wouldn't you, like, now he has no job, he has no school, he has no prospect for, like, his future. Right. I feel like if that happened to me because of a girl that I was dating,
I'm like, well,
fuck it.
Yeah.
You know? But he just kind of disappears from the book. I kept waiting for him to pop back up. Same. He never came back.
Same. Yeah.
It was so random. The grand finale of this book is that, and did we mention that Alex's parents were murdered?
No.
Okay, well, go into it.
We didn't. That's crazy. So, Alex is he from, like, a wealthy-ish background? Yeah. And he's Ukrainian. I do remember that. And basically his family was murdered in front of him. Some intruders broke in. He was able to hide away, but his two parents and his sister did not hide in time, and so they were murdered. Yeah. And I guess he kind of remembers the people who were there, so he makes it his life mission to hunt down the people who hired these hitmen to come and kill his family.
Correct.
That's where we are.
And then somehow he figures out that the person that did it was Ava's dad. Ava's dad did it. Yeah. And so he early on decides that he's going to infiltrate the family and take them down from the inside out. Yeah. And so he targets Josh, Ava's older brother, as his best friend and starts going over their house a lot for, like, Thanksgiving. He meets Ava, da-da-da-da. So all of this was one grand plan to eventually destroy Michael Chen and his family for what they did to Alex's family. Yeah. But Alex does have one relative left. It's his uncle, and he helps run the family business that they own, or whatever business it is that they own. And so one day, I forget why, but Alex is like, let me go snooping in my uncle's stuff. And he goes snooping, and he finds these letters that implicate the uncle in the murder of his parents.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it was my uncle.
Yeah. I guess the uncle was in love with his mom, and the mom rejected him.
So he killed the whole family.
Yeah.
I guess Alex forgets that room might have security. And so the uncle reviews the footage, sees Alex in the camera.
Yeah.
And then he kidnaps Ava and her best friend Bridget to hold them as hostages as he tries to convince Alex to turn over the business to him.
Yeah.
Right? What's crazy to me about this is that Bridget is a princess. She is second in line to some European country.
Yeah.
What?
Wasn't thinking.
Like, why would you kidnap a royal person?
Right.
Like, this is an international crime.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what kind of money can get you out of that, but I don't think, like, now the UN is involved. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, what? So he kidnaps these two people, and Alex somehow finds out that Ava's been kidnapped, and he goes and confronts his uncle.
Yeah.
And they're like beefing, they're like going back and forth, and Alex sees like motion from the corner of his eye, and so he knows there's someone else there in the house, and I think he's able to tell that it's Bridget's bodyguard that's coming to help save the day. But while they're having these arguments, before he sees the bodyguard, Alex goes to Ava, like he's trying to like save Ava by doing that whole thing where he's like, oh, she means nothing to me. And so he goes to Ava and he's like, me getting close to you was all part of my grand plan all along. Like, I wanted to destroy your dad because I thought he murdered my family, and all of this has been fake, and you know, I've been kissing you for no reason, and I'm not your man, and I hate you, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And Ava's like emotional
Right.
about it. And then the uncle is like, well, I'm still gonna hold her hostage. There's that.
Yeah.
And then the bodyguard comes up, or he pulls up, and he kills everyone besides the uncle. Maybe not. I think he saves the girls, and Alex kills everyone. In the room.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It is.
But he's a murderer.
Like trained. I guess they do mention like Krav Maga too throughout, but still, like you're out here just killing people. Like that's crazy.
You killed two people.
Yeah. What can't he do? What can't he
But
do?
he does all these things without any like, oh fuck, I just killed two people. Like, are you?
Oh yeah, he's a real sociopath for real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, you kill your uncle and you kill some random dude your uncle hired.
But maybe it's supposed to be like, well, they kidnapped my girl. So,
I understand that.
Yeah. Like, so it's like reasonable. You said he burns the house down. I don't remember.
I don't have my Kindle with me. I left it at home. But I did highlight this one. If I can get home, maybe I'll add the quote here as an edit. But there's one mention of how, okay, actually, there's one part, this one thing about the book actually pisses me off, is that like they always mention how much money Alex has.
Yeah.
Like they mention his wealth in abundance, like all the time, even when it's not appropriate.
Yeah.
And so in the middle of the scene where he just murders his uncle and he breaks up with Ava and they've like this whole thing happens, they mention how big the house is. And it's like, Alex is going to, you know, as he looks around his 100,000 square foot house, he realizes this is the only thing that can happen. And he like sets it on fire. He like lights a candle and somehow is able to burn down a mega mansion.
Yeah.
With a single candle.
Yes.
It's amazing.
In DC somewhere.
No, weren't they in Philly?
Oh, were they in Philly at the time?
Yeah, that's where his uncle lives.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Same shit. It's a major city.
Yeah. Oh, wait, so they took a princess from DC to Philly?
That's what I... Well, I don't remember where the hometown is.
Where his home?
The college town.
Well, college town's in DC.
Oh, it's in DC?
Yeah,
Okay.
but Alex is from Philly.
I thought he worked in DC and the college town was somewhere outside of it.
No, because everyone here is from Maryland. So they were like naming Maryland places. I'm like, oh, I know that. So like, I think the story takes place in Maryland and DC.
Okay.
Why do I think Alex is from Philly? Whatever. Anyway.
Right.
And so what happens? Oh, the police that show up and like investigate the situation. They're like an improv team. It's like Alex's people.
Yeah.
They're not even real policemen.
They intercepted the call.
Right. And so they show up and they like completely bury the story, and Ava is there traumatized.
Yeah.
And instead of Alex being like, I'm so sorry, like I was lying to you, I really do love you, he lets you believe that, you know, he hates her guts because he realizes that she will never be safe if she's with him.
Why would she be safe? Didn't he kill the threat?
That's a great question.
Another plot hole.
You know, there's always someone out there.
Yeah.
That is after
him.
After him, you know. Oh my, that's a good question. Is he like gang affiliated? Like, why would she not be safe? Like, why? What is wrong with whatever?
Yeah. And
so Ava's like devastated. It's a really dramatic breakup, which I get.
Yeah.
I thought her reaction was pretty valid.
Yeah.
I've cried over much less. And so she enters into a state of depression. And earlier in the book, she gets a job or like an internship or a fellowship, I think, in New York. Mm-hmm. And they have like a sister agency in London. Yeah. And so she actually decides to go to London to get further away from everything that she knows.
Right.
And she accepts the fellowship there. Before she leaves, Bridget, her best friend, the royal princess, goes to Alex and tells him that like Ava's fucked up, you fucked up, but if you want to stop her, then you should. Yeah. Because I don't think she'll ever be herself ever again unless you're in her life, which I think is a crazy thing to say. That is so fucking nuts.
That is insane.
And truly, if my friend, my best friend, was dating a man and all of this happened centering this man, I would encourage her to get so far away from him.
Right. And also it's like, I feel like as the friend, like when something happens with their guy, you're like in like this, it gets better mode. Like you have to go out there and pick another one.
Right. Like you're not like go back to him.
Yeah, you're like, we're going out, we're doing X, Y, and Z. What do you need?
No,
we're not like, you know what, girl, your life is fucking over.
No. He's also a murderer. Like I just can't get over that. Like he killed 2 people. He's a murderer.
Yeah.
So no, I would not be like you should go fight for your girl. Like what the fuck? Like if her bodyguard didn't pull up, what would have happened to them? They would be dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever. And so so Alex tries to go to the airport and, you know, stop her, very like 90s, like rom-com. Yeah. But the plane has left and Ava's on her way to London.
Yeah. And then he follows her.
He quits his job or something and moves to London and just kind of stalks the fuck out of her for a year. Yeah. Until she eventually is worn down by his efforts and is willing to take him back.
I did think that, you know, going on walks together was kind of cute. That's kind of cute.
But
yeah.
I was thinking, this is so bad. like everyone who's ever had a breakup, you kind of want the nigga to like fight for you. Like you kind of want him to come back and be like, like I miss you. Yeah, like you want that. But something that traumatic, I really do think the best thing he could have done was give her space because she actually would have gotten over it. Yeah. Eventually. Yeah. She would have. She would have gotten over it. She would have been a new city. She would have found new friends. Yeah. She would be completely fine.
Especially, I think, a year? The way I don't remember any man from last year. They had me down.
Listen, I'm a brand new person. Yeah. New memories. Like I would get over it. And him being there physically prevents her from getting over it. Yeah.
Ooh, that's good.
He's manipulating her. It's manipulation. It's not romantic.
Yes, Nicole.
It's not. I'm like, this is not romantic. Like you are manipulating this poor girl.
Oh wow. I didn't even think about that like that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
You could have just sent her like DMs like everyone else.
Right.
But he showed up.
I think I would have liked to see, more demonstrations of his money, like towards her. It's kind of like, walks are nice, but I know you're a billionaire.
Yeah. That's also very true.
I think but he did do that one thing for $40,000, but still, you're a billionaire.
I mean, also he bought her like a phone. Like she wasn't texting him back, remember?
Oh.
And so he bought her a new phone because he thought that her old phone was broken.
Like 0.1001 of his salary.
I would have appreciated that. I need a new phone. Oh yeah, so she has like a gala in London, and it's like an accumulation of all the work that she's worked on. Like everyone's so impressed by these photos she's taken.
Yeah.
And during the gala, like Alex shows up and he does a song on stage for her, because like earlier at some point she mentions like you should sing or do karaoke or something.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I don't sing. And so he gets on stage and he has like this amazing like Aretha Franklin type of voice on stage, and it's just like the reason why he doesn't sing is because so much emotion is conveyed through the words that he's singing, and everyone's moved to tears, and that was like him showing how much he cared for her, that he was willing to get on stage and sing for her.
You know, I love head ass shit. So I thought that was cute.
I thought that was so cringe.
I was like, Heath Ledger.
I would be like, ew, get off the stage, you fucking freak. He like does a whole speech, which I thought was nice, but the singing part was like absurd for me.
Yeah.
But he gets on stage, he sings, it's like romantic to her, I guess, and then they make up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the story.
That is how it ends. Is there really nothing else?
I really don't think so. I think they like, I mean, there's one like moment where like a guy from our program is like, I think you're hot, can I go take you on a date? And then Alex is like, that's my girl, I don't want to talk to her.
And then they have sex, and it's like really the end.
Yeah, that's the end of the story. And then we have like a little moment where Alex is watching the TV and Bridget has been announced to be queen of Estonia, I think it's called. And
that's
then
a real country.
Is it?
Yeah. No, I'm saying what you're saying is a real country.
Oh.
They had a fake one in the
I'm like, what? No, Eldora.
Yeah.
Eldora is the fake country. And Estonia. And like Bridget and her bodyguard share like a heated like look, and Alex is like, oh, they're fucking. He's like, they're fucking. And he's like, oh, no one knows, but like I saw that look. I was like, okay.
So intuitive.
And then we learn that the next book is about Bridget and her bodyguard.
Yeah.
And that is Twisted Love. That's the book.
That is it.
So, did you like it?
No.
Would you recommend it?
No, I would not. I said this on our TikTok. It really and truly. Did you ever watch soap operas? Like
Yes. Like Passion.
Yes.
General Hospital. Yeah.
That scene with the dad, I was like, fucking people coming from out the room saying I heard the whole thing. Plot twist this, like so dramatic. I thought it was that. And I didn't like the sex scenes were like, okay, whatever.
Focused, yeah.
You know, I'm an easy grader, so I'll give it 3 out of 5
Okay.
stars.
Okay.
Spice, I'm gonna give it 2 chili peppers.
Okay. Did I like the book? No. Would I recommend it? Yes. Only because I think this book is really fun.
Yeah.
And so, like, I didn't like it because I'm like, why did I read that? But I had a fun time reading it.
Right.
I was like, whatever. So I think if someone's really trying to get out of a reading slump,
Yeah.
or if they're just like really bored,
Yeah.
I think it's a really easy, fun read.
Mm-hmm.
I also like that the characters were like, I mean, one character was Asian. That's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What I didn't like about it, though, I think this kind of pissed me off more than anything else, is that Ava is a pretty girl.
Mm-hmm.
But she herself doesn't think that she's pretty. And I'm so sick of these books where like the women are like beautiful women, everyone can tell, but the main character has no idea she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like annoying because it makes us, the reader, think that like beauty is something that is only special if you have no idea that you have it, but everyone else is able to see it.
Right.
I'm like, no, you can think you're hot shit.
Yeah.
Like, if you're this beautiful that you're able to move Alex and move like men at galas to come approach you with a stalker ex, and like all this shit's hot because you're that hot,
Yeah.
then you should know you're hot.
Yeah.
You should be able to walk in that hotness.
Right.
Instead of being like, oh my god, I'm playing Jane. I'm like, no, you're hot.
Yeah. No, that's understandable. Yeah.
Like, be a hot girl.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's kind of annoying. And again, Alex's wealth was just like really like oversold. But besides that, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is cool.
It is a quick read, even though, you know, I took my fucking time.
Your sweet time reading that book. But it's a relatively very quick read.
Yeah. I finished it in like 2 days once I was like, okay, let me actually read it.
Yeah.
You know, to your point about like hot girls and shit, have we read anything where like the girl is like hot, like she has a roster, she is out there, she has a great personality?
No, the books that we always read, the women are like the guy that they're with who like seems to have no emotion, who has a hard time dating, never dates anyone, yada yada yada, but thinks she's so fucking hot. Those women never think they're hot. Yeah. And I don't know too many hot girls who don't know they're hot.
Right. Like no awareness? That is kind of wild.
Like the girl's able to move the hottest dude in the room, but she's had a dry spell for like a year.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
That's not realistic.
It's not realistic.
You move the most like emotionless, like random fucking dude with problems who like is so fucking picky.
Yeah.
You're able to move that guy for him to come approach you, but you haven't fucked anyone in the past like 3 years. It's not realistic. That's not how hot girls work. So either books are being written by non-hot women who are not understanding how hotness works, or the message is that like, oh, if you're hot, like don't be too loud about it. You can't brag about it. Like the only people who are allowed to appreciate it are the men that are in your lives.
Right. With these kinds of things in books, with romance in particular, I always wonder, like, is the author saying this is the fantasy or this is the reality? Like, which one? What are you saying here?
Either way, it's both horrible.
It sounds terrible.
They're both horrible options.
Yeah.
So, not too excited about either one of those. Anyway, so for next month, we were going to read the Fourth Wing sequel, but we aren't doing that because the author seems to be a little cuckoo. So I think we're still on the hunt, but we're leaning towards, what's it called? Divine Rivals.
Rebecca Ross, I think it is.
Yeah, so we're leaning towards that for November's read. But if you guys have any recommendations for books that we should read, we're open. So let us know. Yeah. Anyway, thanks guys, and we will see you guys in November.
Bye.
Bye.